Doing a video that I haven't done in a long time, or it feels like it's been a long time for me, and that is just a Q&A, kind of a life catch-up Q&A, and I'm very excited because I also just poured myself some coffee. I got this mug from Anthropology recently, and it is so cute. I feel like mushrooms are now the thing for fall. I know it's only the middle of August, but in all of the fall decor that I've seen so far, it's all mushrooms. I wonder why. I asked for questions on my Instagram. I feel like I've been doing just a lot of vlogs and have been pretty go lately, and I thought it would be nice just to sit down and answer any questions that you guys might have, any topics that you guys want me to touch on, and just chat. These are some of my favorite videos to watch, and they're also some of my favorites to film. So I also want to try to edit this video a little bit less. I feel like a lot of times with these Q&A videos, I kind of cut out a lot of my ums and my buts and do a lot of jump cuts, but I want this to be a bit more organic. So I'm gonna try as best as I can to just freely speak and not edit too much in today's video. So I hope you guys are okay with that. One of the biggest questions that I have gotten, and rightfully so, because I feel like I kind of went off my podcast and didn't really explain why, is just what happened to the podcast? Where's the podcast? Is the podcast coming back? And I wanted to share it in this video because I know I really haven't talked about it at all. If you guys don't know, I do have a podcast. I post every single Monday for the most part, and I share, I would say, a lot more, I don't know, just about like more details of things that I go through, things that other people may go through in their 20s, a lot of advice related episodes. And I love my podcast. It's actually probably my favorite platform. But with that being said, with doing 2 videos a week, and I've been trying to do a lot more Instagram stuff here lately, it has just been a lot to keep up with, also posting 1 podcast episode each week. And I found it was the thing that I was always doing on the weekends. So usually on my podcast, I would do it on Saturdays or Sundays, and just felt a little bit unorganized with it. And you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm kind of on this journey right now of trying to heal my hormones, and taking stress out of my life is a big part of that. And I felt like for so long, I just always felt the need to be doing so many things and juggling so many things, and it just got to a point where I felt like I needed a little bit of a break. I didn't want it to be like this big thing either, so I didn't really announce it or anything, but I am planning on coming back with the podcast. I'm just trying to figure out some stuff behind the scenes of if I can get someone to help me, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I've always been nervous to hire someone because that's just a big responsibility and just something totally new for me. And also, when you're doing a podcast, it's important to be learning and growing and experiencing things in life, so you have things to share and you have advice to give. And especially because so many of my episodes are faith related, I never want to whip something up just to post when I feel like I am actually not credible to speak about it, or haven't really thought about it in depth as much as I should have. And I've been doing my podcast for a few years now, since like 2019, and so it was just good for me to kind of take a step back. But once I have a date where I am relaunching, it'll just be kind of like a season 2, if you will, because I've never done that. Most people do their podcasts in seasons. And so, but I am really sorry. I have seen just a lot of nice messages wondering where the podcast is, and that is kind of the summary. I know you're not a big drinker, but when you do, what's your favorite go-to drink? I definitely like wine. I really enjoy wine, and I like the way that wine makes me feel when I drink probably the best. Just like a glass or 2, I think is really nice, especially when you're having dinner with someone. And I also am a big fan of margaritas. I love frozen margaritas. Those don't always make me feel the best after. I feel like I never sleep well after I have like really sugary drinks, but I do love margaritas, especially if I'm eating like Mexican food or something, getting tacos. Margaritas are a favorite. And I also recently have been having some whiskey sours that I like too. And so I would say that those are some of my favorites too. You alluded to kids being in the near future. Are you guys planning to start a family soon? This is a great question. I feel like I always kind of bring this up in my Q&A videos because it is something that I am obviously really looking forward to. I've talked about this in recent videos, and I think kind of like going off the pill was the first thing for me. And I want to say that I'm so thankful I went off of it kind of before we planned on actively trying for kids, because I didn't realize it was going to be more of a struggle for me kind of getting things back with my body. And that's just something that I kind of wish I would have heard more. But we definitely do plan on having kids. Right now it is very much in God's timing, and I used to hate when people said that, because I'm like, okay, what does that actually mean? But we're just letting it be up to him. I really like my friend Rachel. She's been talking a lot about this because she is actively trying for a baby, and she was talking about how instead of just always like longing for this thing that she doesn't have, she wants to be present where she is and try to be a better wife and try to prepare for that time of life and just appreciate where she's at instead of just always, you know, wishing and wanting and all that. And so she's been really good for me to watch too. It's really insightful. She's also on like a similar journey with all this stuff, and it's been really nice having friends that are kind of in a similar season of life. And I think for a while when it came to this, I always had like this age in mind. Like I thought 25 was when I wanted to like get pregnant for the first time, and I just don't really hold loosely because it could be something that it takes many, many years for us, or it could be something that takes a few months. Like you just don't know. And with a lot of the best things in my life, I have found when I just give up control to God and focus on Him, it's kind of taught me how to loosen up control. And I found that I'm much happier when I'm not trying to hold so tightly onto things with a lot of different realms of my life, but especially in this regard. So very, very excited if that's something that we're able to experience. I really can't wait. What lifestyle changes have you made to try to regulate your cycle, having the same issues as you? I think stress manifests itself in so many different ways with our body. And when it comes to like regulating your cycle and that kind of thing, I'm not a doctor by any means, but I know that stress wreaks havoc on so many different things in our body when it's happening. And I think sometimes when we think about stress like we have deadlines at work or our schedules are really busy, but it can even be just you think that going to this yoga class at 6 a.m. is gonna help you calm down, but it's actually not what your body needs. Maybe your body needs to sleep in one day. Maybe it's less stressful for you to get all your things done on your to-do list and not have that looming over your head. Like I think before I used to always look at stress in like this black and white box, and also just focusing on nutrition and trying to eat more, trying to eat a lot of whole foods and focusing more on health from the inside out. And a big part of that has also been incorporating a probiotic into my diet, but not just a probiotic, also a prebiotic, because I personally, if you guys know, if you've watched my videos, I talk about seed all the time in a non-sponsored capacity because it is the best. It's a daily symbiotic, which means it is both a pro and a prebiotic. And I'm so thankful that Seed's actually partnering with me on today's video. And I'm always grateful to get to share them because they have really changed my life when it comes to health and wellness and just trying to focus more on my gut health specifically. And I do want to note from the beginning that I do have a code with Seed. You guys can get 15% off your first month's supply by using the code Michelle. That'll be linked at the top of the description box. And Seed is unique because it actually has a prebiotic outer capsule, and then the inner capsule is a probiotic capsule. And with that outer capsule, it's going to protect it as it makes its way down to your colon, because something that I didn't realize when I would just go to say like my pharmacy or something and just pick up a probiotic, not all of them are created equal, and a lot of them are actually going to die before they even make it to your colon. But Seed is special because 100% of the pre and the probiotic are actually going to make it down to your colon, which is so nice. And what's really nice too, I take this with me on every single trip we go on. It comes with a travel vial, and what's so special about Seed is that you don't have to refrigerate it, which is great if you're taking it on a plane, if you're taking it on your carry-on bag. You can just put your capsules in this travel vial and you're good to go for your trip. So I'm literally taking this with me on our anniversary trip we're about to go on. And most of those probiotics that you see in the drugstore, they have I think like 8 to 10 strains of the probiotic, but Seed actually has 24, which is crazy. And I know this is something that people don't really like to talk about, but since taking Seed, the regularity that I have had has been so nice. I am someone who likes to have my routine with this sort of thing. I like to know when it's gonna happen, and it has made me so much more regulated, which is great. I hate the feeling of just feeling like bloated and uncomfortable, especially while traveling, and so that's why I always try to take it with me on, I do take it with me on all of our trips that we go on. And again, you guys can get 15% off your first month by using the code Michelle. I'll have it linked at the top of the description box. And also really practically, something that I've been trying to do is working out less. I definitely am someone who enjoys exercise. I enjoy running. I enjoy kind of like higher intensity workouts, but I've realized over the past probably 6 months or so that I don't think that incorporating those things into my routine every single day is very good for me. And so I've been trying to cut back on exercise. And for example, this week I've worked out probably 3 times, and learning to be okay with that and not having to keep myself on such a strict exercise schedule has been really good. Have you ever considered getting Botox or filler? I think ultimately it's a decision everyone can make for themselves, but I definitely feel like the pressure to do this. I don't know, especially maybe because I'm like getting in my mid-20s and you hear all about how it's good for like reversing aging and you got to start young, and sometimes I just feel like there's so much pressure to do that, and I just know my personality type where if I start with something like that, I think it would be really easy to just keep it up. Like for example, I started getting my eyebrows tinted and I was like, I'm only gonna do this once, and now I do it pretty much every single month, and I just don't want to get caught up with always having to keep up with these things because I feel like it's the right thing to do, when for, you know, the most part, I'm very comfortable in my skin, I'm comfortable in the body that I have, and I also think there's a part of it, at least for me, where it kind of makes me think of like my ancestry, the face that I have, way that God has given it to me. But yeah, I always bring this up with Aidan because I always wonder what his thoughts are. I just think it's interesting to talk about because, you know, from my perspective, I'm like, okay, I don't think I would want to do that to change my face, but I also get acrylic nails. And for some people, like acrylic nails are like changing your body. So I think we just all think about these things differently. Beginner tips for sourdough bread making. Honestly, just go for it. I feel like I put it off for so long because I was so intimidated. It seemed like such a process, and I just watched all these videos about it, but I think you just have to start, and maybe start with an easier recipe. So the one that I do is actually really a lot easier. I'll have it linked down below if you want to check it out. It is not that involved at all. If you want to start with that one, I think it's a great place to start. At least for me, the most important thing has been having a good starter. I think that that's kind of like the foundation of having great bread. And if you have a really great, bubbly, active starter, it makes making the bread so much easier. It's gonna taste better. And I feel like there's less room for error when that part is solved. And so I think starting there, I started my sourdough starter with some from Ballerina Farm. She sells like her Willa starter, but it's dehydrated and then you rehydrate it. You make it come alive yourself. It sounds so crazy. If you've never made sourdough, you're like, what is this girl talking about? But you just revive it and then you can make bread yourself. And I really like her, so I'll have it linked down below. People also sell their starters on Etsy, and they're starters that they've had for years and years and years, like going back to like the 1970s, and apparently they're supposed to have really great taste if you have one for that long, so you can also do that. And also just trial and error. I feel like it's meant to be fun. I definitely don't have the most perfect bread, and I could do it a lot better, and I could do a recipe that takes 3 days, and I do think I actually kind of want to start doing that here soon, but I think you just have to start. Like all things in life that kind of scare us, you just kind of have to go for it, and with trial and error, you'll get better. What is your favorite vacation / trip you have taken over the past year? Trip recommendation. So there are two that come to mind. I can't pick between these two, but the first one is definitely our West Texas trip that we did with my family. We went to Marfa, we went to Big Bend, and it was so cool. I feel like West Texas is not a place that a lot of people really like post about. And I remember we stayed at this hotel. It was called the Gage Hotel in Marathon, Texas, and it was so cool, just very Western. And that was around New Year's too. So technically that was into the new year, but that trip was amazing. If you're in Texas, I would highly recommend. It's kind of a trek to get out there, but there's just so much to see in Texas, which I think is great. Secondly, I really liked our Florida trip that we did back in March. Aidan and I spent one night, just the two of us, in St. Augustine. And I don't know what made that trip so much fun, but it was so nice. We got to stay in just a really cute Airbnb by the beach and explore St. Augustine, which is like the oldest town, I'm pretty sure, in the US. And it was just so much fun. And I think especially because we just waited to travel and do these kinds of things until we got married, I still just really appreciate getting those moments with him, and it's why I really appreciate it. And I also got a question too. It was about how to not feel pressure to like rush milestones of buying a house, kids, dog, whatever it may be. I think I have genuinely gotten a lot better at this. I mean, there was a period where I just wanted to be in a house and wanted to be on to the next thing and kind of rush through this period of my life. And I kind of sat back and realized I'm 24 years old. There's not a need to be at this point of life just because everyone else is at this point at this age, or it seems like that in my mind. And I've really tried to appreciate more just the moments of the two of us, because I know one day I'm gonna look back at these times of like being just the two of us in our apartment and having this small space, and I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna romanticize it, and I want to keep that sort of joy and wonder about our life together. And so I think that traveling is always a reminder of that too. I also got a question too, if we ever want to go out of the country, and we definitely would love to. I'm just really intimidated by that. I feel like planning a trip abroad just seems so different, and you have to think about so many things that you don't have to think about when you're traveling within the US. But there is one place in particular that we have always wanted to go, that we're thinking about possibly planning a trip if we're able to, but I don't know exactly if that'll happen, but it's definitely one of those things that we would love to do. So I also got a question about the monthly resets, if I'm going to continue doing these, and I'm pretty sure I am. Honestly, I just haven't been doing them over the past couple of months because I haven't been living a sort of like goal-oriented life as much, and those videos are so much about planning and prepping and organizing and finding new goals, and sometimes I just don't think that that's the best for my personality type, because I feel like that's already how I am to a fault, where I don't leave space in my schedule for spontaneity and to just really enjoy life and not be on this rigid schedule. So with that being said, I didn't really feel like those were applicable for my life, but I think in the fall, as we probably are traveling less and just having less on our plates, I think that I will bring those back, or maybe just change them up a little bit. Sometimes watching those makes me kind of anxious. I don't know, but I like them, and I like how they motivate me for something new, but at the same time, it can just put pressure on you, especially now with trying to kind of chill out a little bit, if you will. I think it's good for me to not be doing that. But if you would like to see them again, let me know. I'd be really interested. Again, this is something where I'd love to have feedback on if you guys enjoy those videos. If you don't, I had a few people pop up on my question poll asking, so I wanted to mention that. A lot of questions about the house buying journey, if we still plan on buying a house. Yes, we definitely plan to. I just don't know when. And right now we have our apartment till July. So we're gonna be here till July unless something crazy comes up and it's worth breaking our lease, but I don't anticipate that happening. And so we're gonna be here till July. And yeah, for a while that was something that I was really bent out of shape on, but I'm so thankful that we waited, because when we were looking to buy, it was like May, June, July of this past summer. And that was just not a market that we wanted to be buying a house for the first time. Now I feel a lot more comfortable. I mean, interest rates are definitely higher, but I have a lot of price drops on my Zillow. Things are sitting on the market for a little bit longer, and so I feel more comfortable. But yeah, that's definitely something that will happen eventually. I don't know, I really shifted from not feeling like I need to be doing all these things just because I feel like I need to be doing them. We did not feel peace about buying, and that's something that with any decision that we make in our life, we want to feel just an overwhelming sense of peace that this is something that God has for our life right now. We've prayed through, we've talked to people about, and I'm just not in the business of rushing things. I love this question because I actually was just in a situation where this was applicable. She says, how do you feel secure in your career when everyone else works corporate? Yesterday, I went to a book club for the first time. Melissa, my friend, she started this book club, and everyone was going around the circle sharing the jobs that they do. And this is something that used to bring me so many anxious thoughts, because I always felt like people would judge me if I said, oh, I'm a content creator or I do social media. And I sometimes, and I hate to admit this, but I would literally lie because I just didn't want to explain. I didn't want people to think that it was not really a credible job. And over the past 2 years, I would say, especially since doing it full time, I feel so much more confidence in what I do. And maybe part of this is because I think it's more accepted now than it used to be. And I just tell people, and I don't really care. Like, I tell people when I'm in an Uber, or I tell my neighbors, I just don't really care. I don't think there's any reason to feel insecure if you have a job that's maybe not as traditional. And I love what I do. It brings me so much joy. I love the creativity. It allows me to have the community it allows me to have, and I'm so thankful for that. And so I don't want to downplay that, but I think it just takes being honest and telling people, and also recognizing that for so long, I think especially if you're coming out of college, there's so much stake put on our careers and what we do as a job. But personally, I want my job to be like not the coolest thing about me, and I know that my identity is not found in what I do or hobbies that I have, activities that I have. It's so easy to just like label people as things, or be like, I'm a nurse, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, and that's your identity. And obviously it's a big part of who you are, because it's also sharing the things that you enjoy doing and the environments that you like to be in. But I just realized that it's not the biggest part of me, and the people who know me know that, and it's okay to just have a job and it doesn't have to be like this big thing. I'm very thankful that I love my job, and I do see it as a big thing because it's so special to get to do this, and I'm always so grateful. But yeah, you just gotta run with it. You gotta be confident, and I think people can sense that in you when you have that confidence, and it's attractive. Like, I like being around other people who are confident in what they do. So I got a question if I still consider myself to be a minimalist, and the answer is no. But the answer is also that I never really considered myself to be a minimalist. I felt like I was very clear to always disclaim that I don't want to label myself as this, because I obviously do have things, and especially lately, I've definitely been buying a lot more things and have felt personally a little bit convicted about this. I need to chill out. It's just so hard because for so long, I think when I came back from New York City, I just threw myself into slow living, simple living, and minimalism, and really found myself gravitating towards those videos on YouTube too. And then I just kind of went crazy and purged my closet and was all into just not owning a lot of stuff. And I think that that's a good thing too. I still think that there are principles with slow living that I've incorporated into my life, especially when it comes to my time, how I spend my time, my schedule, the things that I have on my plate. But when it comes to tangible things, I feel like I definitely own more than I used to, say 2 years ago. I still appreciate principles of it, if you will. And I still love doing those videos too. And I still like going through my stuff quarterly and not finding, again, my identity in the stuff that I own. I just found when I got rid of all my clothes, I missed having options when it came to coming up with outfits. And that's something that I realized I really like. Like, I like having a wardrobe of things that I just feel really confident in and that I can share online. And I realized that that was something that I still enjoyed. And so I'm trying to find a balance. But I was listening to a podcast. It was from Julia and Hunter Havens. I believe they were on Kenzie Elizabeth's podcast. They were talking about how we like to put people in boxes and say, you know, you're this, you're this. And again, going back to finding your identity in those things. And I think it makes us comfortable sometimes to label people as things. And especially with doing YouTube, it's beneficial too to have those keywords in the title so it gets the right audience of minimalist or simple living or whatever. And that's just kind of a part of the job too, of trying to attract a certain audience. But as humans, we are so dynamic and multifaceted, and usually things are so much more nuanced than they appear. And I know I'm just talking about minimalism with this, but I think this can go for a lot of different things. And I think it's helpful just to see people as more than just one thing. So all that to say, I am not a minimalist, but I still try to incorporate some of those principles into my life today. This one says, does Cash have a favorite human? He is so adorable. Well, thank you. I will say that I think Cash is taking a nap right now. I just try to call him. But I will say I think that I am his favorite human because I spend the most time with him. I am with him all day, especially because I work from home, and I think that we just bond the most. So I will say that I am probably the favorite, and Aidan would probably agree with me on that. But he does really love Aidan too, and you should see him when he gets home and he runs to the door. And even sometimes he can sense when it's 4 o'clock, when Aidan's gonna be coming home closer to 5, he will sit at the door, and it is so cute, and just wait for him. So he also really loves Aidan as well. And honestly, he kind of likes everyone. He is kind of your stereotypical golden retriever of wants to be your best friend, is happy all the time, cuddles with you all the time, and he loves everyone. He's never met a stranger, so he's a big fan of a lot of people. Okay, this is one that I actually get quite a bit, but it says, do you have friends that are not religious? And I definitely do. I have friends that aren't religious, and also friends who are just of a different religion. Do you have any plans on getting another dog? So this is one that I feel like I went back and forth on a while ago when I answered this before, but right now it is a definite no. One dog is a big responsibility, especially a golden retriever. It requires a lot of energy, requires a lot of just time. And especially because we have been traveling a bit, and I'm really thankful that my family is able to watch him a lot of the time. Watching 2 dogs instead of 1 is just a whole different ball game. And so no, right now, definitely not. I would definitely love to have a baby before getting another dog, but down the road, say if we had more land, which is something that we would love to have, and just more space, I would love to get another dog. I say that now, but maybe after having like a few kids, like when our kids one day want to get a dog, I think that that would be a good time to get a second dog. And so right now, no, Cash is enough. Although I think he would love to have a friend. I just think, especially obviously we're still in an apartment, so that would not be ideal having 2 dogs and not fair to have 2 dogs in here. We're very content with Cash right now. I love this question. I'm gonna end with this one. It says favorite way to spend time / connect with your husband. And I think this is really sweet because I obviously don't show a lot of Aidan here on my channel. And that's mostly because I love just spending time one-on-one with him, and he does work like a normal job. And so when he gets home from work, I love just hanging out with him and being present with him. Some of our favorite things to do, honestly, I love going on like late night drives with him. Some nights we will decide to go get crumble cookies, and it's really fun just going and having a little drive with him and chatting and hanging out. I love going on road trips with him. It's always fun. Playing pickleball has been another thing recently. It's fun just having new hobbies with someone too. That's not just, which I love doing too. Like we'll watch rom-coms. The other night we watched While You're Sleeping, which is one of my favorite movies. And he said he had never seen it. I was like, how have you never seen it? This movie is so good. And so we watched that and just hung out, having like chill evenings at home. We also really love going to restaurants. We both really love trying new foods. And so doing that, finding new places to go in Dallas is always fun. I'm so excited though, because at the time that you're watching this video, we're actually gonna be in New York City, and we're doing all of our favorite things that we did when we dated in New York City. And specifically, there's this one hotel that we always said when we were 18, we'd go on walks and pass it. We're like, you know, one day when we're married, we're gonna stay at this hotel, and we're doing it. I'm so excited. So I had to put that in there because I've been looking forward to this trip for so long. We've had this one booked for a really long time, and I cannot wait. It's gonna be so much fun, and just to celebrate 2 years of marriage, which is crazy. It seriously flies by, and everyone tells you that, but it's just absolutely crazy to think it's been 2 years. And I'm so thankful for him and so thankful for our life together. And I've just loved getting to build our home together. I think that's everything I want to answer for today's video though. I really hope you guys enjoyed just catching up. Let me know if you like doing these too, if I should do them more. I try to do them like once a quarter usually, but I could definitely do them more often. I kind of want to do another like girl chat video, wife talk video if you guys would like to see that. Let me know. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. And again, if you want to check out Seed, I'll have them linked down below. You can use my code Michelle to get 15% off your first month's supply. So I'll have that link down below, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye friends.